Everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to do a DIY No So Primitive hearts. I love these. You know why I love these? Because we're not going to waste a thing. These are the scraps left over from this fabric that we used to create the Valentine's Day banners. I don't like to throw away things. Plus we're going to use some beautiful lace ribbon from the Dollar Tree, as well as some grosgrain ribbon. They have this beautiful scalloped edge one, as well as the plain grosgrain ribbon. Also some buttons. Buttons and lace and ribbon is what makes them primitive, and the fact that they're patchy. We're just going to use our glue gun and glue sticks, as well as the pinking shears. Now, our pinking shears is an option. You could go ahead and have a straight edge. That's fine as well too. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to piece these together. Like I mentioned, these were the scraps left over from making all of our pennant banners for Valentine's Day. What I'm just doing is matching up these sewed seams, which is actually creating more pennants. So you could actually redo these and make more pennants. I mean, that is 100% an option. You know, when we were making them out of the burlap, the big burlap, we would piece them, we would cut them so that we would get all of the pennants on both sides. But this is definitely just had my heart speaking to making primitive hearts, between the fact that the burlap, the linen type of burlap, actually looks aged, the fact that it is very country as well, and the fact that it will be like patchwork together totally reminded me of some primitive looking hearts. Now, I was sort of inspired to do primitive hearts from Pinterest. They were using old, what am I calling them? Chenille bedspreads. Do you guys remember chenille bedspreads? Like, I feel like your grandma would have had them. They almost look like they, you know, like have like terry cloth bumps, but then like flat areas. You guys know what I'm talking about. If you don't, look up chenille bedspreads. But the ones on Pinterest were made from old bedspreads, and I was thinking at first I wanted to make them with some Dollar Tree dish towels, the black and white ones that we used to make the Christmas stocking, and the no soap pumpkin, which these would be super cute in that fabric as well. But I had all of these leftover triangles, and I was like 100% inspired to do them for you guys. Okay, so you're going to need 2 of these triangles per heart. We're going to do 4 hearts today, but I'm not going to show you the 4th one because I left one plain, and I'm just going to show a thumbnail at the end of what it looks like not decorated, because they are very cute. But one of the ideas that I had for them was that, and I talked about this in the video we did yesterday with the sachets, is that you could actually, as the grandma or mom, you can create these already and have your grandkids or kids decorate them. So I'm going to show you how they look like plain at the end. I'll put the picture of the plain one at the end. All right. But I'm only going to show you how we decorate 3 of them. And we're going to decorate them in very similar styles. So we're almost going to create like a set. But I just wanted to show you 3 different decorating ideas. All right. Now, what I'm doing here, I found to be essential. I didn't at first, and then I messed up, and then I'll tell you what. That they're not all the same size. And I originally pulled just a random one out and tried to find a heart that was the correct size for that random one, and that ended up being the biggest one. So then my heart didn't fit on the rest of them. So what I did was I stacked them all together, matching 2 corners. I mean, matching a corner, excuse me, 2 sides, and I found the smallest of the hearts, the triangles, excuse me, and then I went ahead and I measured the heart for that triangle. This is the heart we used yesterday in our primitive looking sachet that we made, the lavender sachet with the black and white check, and I just cut it down to size because I wanted that long triangle look. Okay, a triangle, that long heart look. So what I'm just going to do is I'm going to find 2 that are close, very close in size. I'm going to line up the points or the tops to make sure that there's enough room for the heart to fit. I liked to line up the top because you could cut the point, and this way with the heart, you really only have to measure the tops, and then however the sides land up is how the sides will land up, if that makes any sense. So you just want to line up the tops, draw the bow of the heart at the top, and then you can cut 2 at the same time. This fabric doesn't slip around as much, but you do have a little bit of a tough time. You could have a little bit of a tough time getting through those 4 seams at once. So if it's a problem for you, then you want to separate them for a second while you're holding. Oh, okay. Separate the tops, cut through one seam, and then cut through the other seam, and then put them back on top of each other and work that second bow. Does that make sense? Hopefully that makes sense. I only had problems with one of them, and I actually think it was too much glue. But then I worked through it in no time at all. So for the first one, you want to make sure that, by the way, you want to make sure you pink the point, even though you don't cut the point more. You want to make sure you go with your pinking shears down there. Okay. And then I worked on my cutting mat because cutting this burlap with the pinking shears does leave like almost like dust, like fabric, like little dust fabric things. And you want to make sure that they don't get stuck in your glue and your decorations. All right. So for this first one, we're going to glue them the same way we did yesterday. We're going to glue around the bow of the heart first, and then follow along on the bottom. We're going to do the point, and we're going to leave an area open on the side to stuff. But one thing I think I forgot to do was to put a hanger on here. Hold on, let me see. I actually did. I'm going to do it in a second after I check for holes. But there's also the third one that I'm going to show you where we're actually going to glue the hanger on the outside. Because these don't weigh a lot. It doesn't make a difference if you glue the hanger on the inside or the outside. I show you both options. But after we sew around all the way, we want to check to make sure that the glue adhered on all of the seams. So we're going to run our finger on the inside of the heart and look for any holidays. The holidays are missed areas. My father used to use that word when we would painting. So you want to look for any places that the glue didn't adhere. Maybe the glue dried faster than you could get the fabric sealed. Or sometimes it's not enough glue for the fabric to seal. So we're just going to check for holidays. And in this particular one, fortunately, there is a holiday at the peak of the bows down right at the center of the heart. So we're going to be able to put a hanger in there after the fact. And that's just what we did. We just took a little tiny piece of jute, knotted one end, folded in half, knotted the opposite end, and glued that inside the little hole at the top. We made sure we glued on the both sides so that the hanger would really stay secure. And then we stuffed it with batting. This is actually leftover batting from old stuffed animals that have been pulled apart and pillows that have gotten flattened. I save everything. And it takes very little batting to stuff this, if any. But if you watched the video yesterday, you saw us stuff them with plastic shopping bags and Epsom salt as well. So now what we're going to do is we're going to embellish them. And this is really where the fun comes in. This is just, I've taken my scrap ribbon. Now you guys know I keep old pickled cabbage jars with scrapped ribbon in them. Any little piece, 2 inches, I just save them. And this is the lace from the Dollar Tree. Of course, you don't have to use scraps. You can buy lace to do this if you want to. But what I'd like to do is I like to make them haphazard, almost like they were covering seams of a patchwork kind of quilt. Okay, and I'm just gluing them down. I have just glued across one strip. I haven't glued the whole width of the ribbon. I've just made sure it glued down in one area. And then I've done a piece at the bottom, a piece at the top, and then I've added the brown button just off center any way you want, and that's this one. I think this one is super cute. I think this one really looks primitive to me, I guess, with all of the natural tones. But I wanted to share with you something while I'm cutting the second one, that I got my new February issue of Country Living magazine. Actually, is it February? It must have been February. Yeah, because it's January now. Yeah. My February issue of Country Living magazine that actually says that green is the new neutral. Last year they called it grayish, which is sort of that gray beige color, taupey color that we love. That now shades of greens are becoming the new neutral. So with that in mind, I'm going to go ahead and embellish this one with green ribbon and with green buttons as well. So we're just repeating the same process as we did before, except this time we're going to embellish it before we glue them together. And this is like I said, the option was if you wanted to do the do the embellishment after the fact, that you could see how you could do it for your kids or grandkids, or your seniors, whatever you need to do. But I'm going to show you that we're going to embellish this one first. Now we're going to do it before we layer them on top of each other, because otherwise the glue could get through and glue the two sides together. So we don't want to do that. Okay, so I'm going to do similar design as the last one, but I'm using this really pale seafoamy kind of green ribbon that I had scraps of, and I just happened to have the perfect green colored button from the Dollar Tree's little button containers that they have. And I don't learn because I forgot to put the glue the hanger on again. What is wrong with me, people? Don't answer that. But we're going to go ahead and glue the bow. And as you can see, I start to remember here because I don't really press down on the two bow areas. I was like, oh no, wait, I forgot the hanger. Quick, make a loop, make a hanger, fit it in there. I'm telling you, sometimes I wonder, who's the teacher here? But I just used my little, I have a pencil, a mechanical pencil that I use to write with, and a mechanical pencil that I use as like a stylus and as a poker. After the lead dies, I save them. So that's what I just used to poke in and glue extra glue on. I need to have my brains examined a little bit. All right. So when you have that all secure, you're going to go ahead and repeat the same, where you're going to glue the one side and the point, as well as making sure that the glue is all adhered all along its areas. That's me trying to find the words to say stick your finger in there and make sure that the glue stuck along all the edges. And wherever you find it hasn't, you go ahead and touch it up with a dot of glue. But you want to remember to keep in mind that you want the open area on the inside to still have a heart shape. Don't put in like a ton of glue that will accidentally seal one of those bows, because when you stuff it, then you will won't be able to keep that heart shape when you stuff it. Okay, so just keep that in mind. That was one tip that I realized as I was doing it. The same thing with closing the heart, but mostly it's about messing up. When you mess up, you want to make sure that you go ahead and fix it. You want to make sure that it still looks like a heart when you're done. Okay. Now we're stuffing it again with a little bit of batting. If you've never stuffed anything before, you want to just do the parts that are furthest away from the opening first. That's all. That's all the tips I can give you about stuffing. You want to work furthest away and then work towards the hole. And then when you get to the hole, you actually want to put enough stuffing that would come to the edge of where you're going to glue, but you want to push it in before you glue it, so you don't actually glue it. Glue the stuffing basically. Once it's all glued and sealed, then you can go ahead and manipulate the stuffing on the inside with your hands, kind of like you would fluff a pillow. All right. Now this burlap, this fabric is got a little bit of an open weave, so be careful when you glue. The glue can seep through and be a little hot, so I always wait. I count to 3 seconds, depending on how much glue you put down there, before you go ahead and manipulate it with your fingers, and then trim up any excess that overflow. Now for this button, I thought it would be really cute to do a layer, so I found this really cute ivory button and this little tiny green button that was the exact same shade, and I went ahead and I glued them on top of each other and put them right there. I don't know why, just pick there. And then that's this one. Oh, it's so cute. I love it. And I do feel like it still does have a neutral feel, even though it is green. I know. Go figure. Who knew country living would be the right way to think? I don't know. Who knows? Anyhow, and for the third one, the only thing that's going to be a little different about this one is we're going to actually add a little color. I mean, the green is like a little color, but for this one, we're going to add a little red. We're going to repeat the same process. Now, the only thing I'm doing different here is I wanted to show you that you can actually glue the layers together and then cut them. So what I've done is I've drawn that bow onto both pieces of fabric, basically on the same side. So the inside of one fabric and the top of the other. And the reason I'm doing that is because I'm going to put the glue about 1/4 of an inch in from the inside of the bottom fabric, and then I'm going to put the top fabric on, and then we're going to cut them together using the line on the top one. I hope that makes sense. But you want to do is you want to just set the glue in a little bit. I thought this might be an easier process for some people. So go ahead and give this a shot if you want. Okay? So we're basically just glued about a 1/4 inch from inside of the edge. And then you want to go ahead and cut them both at the same time. What I did that second bow, as you saw me put the heart back on, is I wanted to make sure that my heart lines were actually past the glue, if that makes sense, okay? I did mention in the beginning that you could do this with other fabrics. You can do this with all kinds of other fabrics, obviously. The thing that makes it primitive, I feel, is the fact that it is an older looking fabric, the fact that it is pieced together. The pinking also helps. The pinking with the pinking shears also helps. The haphazard, random, like the embellishments that you add to, also all those things actually I feel like adds to their vintage feel. Now, as I mentioned, this one's going to have a little color. So what we've done is we've taken some of the Dollar Tree red grosgrain ribbon, and we're going to lay it down in whatever direction or length or area that we want the ribbon to go. But what we're going to do to make it feel a little bit more in the style that we're going for is we're going to layer the Dollar Tree lace ribbon over it. Okay? Now, to be honest, the scrap did give me a little bit of a hard time. The reason it was scrapped originally is because the factory had it kind of folded onto itself. But I figured this would be the perfect opportunity to use it because I'll be able to manipulate those folded edges. So what I did was I just glued directly on top of the grosgrain ribbon, and this ribbon was the same width, so I went ahead and I laid it over top. So just a tiny bit of that red pokes through. And I just thought that that was so charming. Just that tiny little bit of splash of color was just enough. Now, since the little piece of lace that I have left with is so little, and it's my last piece, believe it or not, I went ahead and I glued it directly on the ribbon first. And then I can go ahead and I can find a place on the heart where it would fit without being cut short. Okay, and I think down here is perfect. So once it's glued onto the ribbon, then we can go ahead and glue it onto the heart, and then we can trim to fit. And I think that it is absolutely darling. I found this red button, and it's a matte red, so I think it also adds to that country vintage feel. And I added a little tiny ivory button on top, just again to add that tiny bit of color that is actually muted behind the ivory. All right, now because I put these embellishments on before I stuffed it, I want to go ahead with my finger and make sure that it didn't glue the two edges together, the two sides together. So that is an option. Go ahead and do that if you want. Just keep in mind that you need to check it from time to time. All right, and then we're going to stuff it like we did the other two. Seal it. Now these would also be really cute sachets. These would make really wonderful sachets if you stuff them with any kind of fragrance. They would be really nice as well. Paperweights, doorstops, we've talked about this before. Now, when you seal it shut, just be mindful that the glue is hot, like I mentioned before. And for this one, I think we're going to put an outside hanger. We're not going to, we purposefully forgot to put the hanger on this in this one because we're going to go ahead and put it on the outside. Okay. Now, we're going to make a hanger with a piece of the grosgrain ribbon, and we're going to fold it like you would if it was an awareness ribbon. Okay, and we're going to create that loop that actually faces what would be like the nail on your door, if that makes any sense, or the ornament on your tree, like the tree branch, whatever. We're going to make it that way so that it stays nice and open looped. And then we're just going to glue it directly on the back. I used the pinking shears to cut the bottom of the two pieces of ribbon, so it would be pretty if you turned it over. Now again, you could sew little pockets in the back of this. You could put in mementos, any kind of like little gift basket this could be, So cute and darling. And obviously the red one's my favorite because that's my favorite color. But let me know which one's yours. And here's what it looks like just plain. And this is what you can make for your family to decorate. You can just give this as a gift like it is. They're really cute just by themselves. So that's it, everybody. I hope you really enjoyed this tutorial. If you do, give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions at all, please leave them in the comments down below. Don't forget to share with friends and family, anybody who might be interested in making one or all of these. And if you haven't yet, click subscribe, and when you do, a little bell will pop up. When you ring that bell, YouTube will let you know whenever I upload a new video. And as always, you take care, God bless, and we'll see you next time. Bye.